guess is stronger than my father. With Marcus Minis.
Welcome to another episode of Stronger Than My Father podcast. I am your host, Marcus Minis Sr., and I'm excited to dive into the world of fatherhood. Those who may be new to this podcast, Stronger Than My Father podcast is designed to bring more of an awareness of fatherhood and why I believe that fatherhood matters. So I'm happy to have my guest on today. Met this gentleman a couple of months ago. The first conversation was intimidating, and I was like, why is he aggressive on the phone? And I was like,
that's coming from Marcus.
And I'm not fooling with him. But I'm happy, man. He came in with a great book that we're going to talk about today, The Mindset of Successful Thinking. And the author is Mr. Troy Smith. So welcome, man, to Stronger Than My Father podcast.
I'm grateful to be here. I'm thankful.
I hope you know what you're getting into dealing with me.
I think I learned it already, so I'm straight. I don't have to do too much thinking about it. I already know.
For my guests who don't know who Troy Smith is, tell my audience a little bit about yourself, some of the things you have raised. Before we go into your book, I know your book talked about some of it, about who's Troy Smith as an individual.
All right, born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee, single parent household. You know, and at one time, me having that story about being a single parent household seemed like it seemed to be. I mean, who else ain't got their dad? I mean, that's normal to me. And as we talk more about, people know about you, normalcy was having your daddy at your house. You know your daddy? Your daddy ain't at your house?
Yeah.
Well, my daddy wasn't at my house.
Yeah.
I'm one of three on my mom's side, the oldest. And she had me when she was 15 years old.
Okay.
So we grew up together in a sense. That's like my mama / sister, but I still know who she is in regard to the place of the hierarchy. I know she'll smack me, even though she's much smaller than me. We was discussing about whoopings or what's considered to be a beating. It really depends on who's giving the definition. And I done had, when I learned about other people whoopings, I learned, mine wasn't as bad, but mine was pretty bad, you know. But my dad though, my daddy, Elder Manson Smith, Pete, they call him Pete. He had 17 kids. So I'm one of 17. You didn't know that?
No, you know that.
So if you read that book, you're going to find about it. Yeah, I know you know it. But we had 17 kids. I'm the third from the oldest on that. Yeah, I think I'm the third. But besides that, that's not my upbringing in Knoxville, Tennessee. Been in Tennessee living my whole life. Went to Tennessee State in 2001. Went to got my undergrad and master's from there. Then I got married in 2008, moved into my wife's house. I moved in her house in Memphis. I took my Kroger bag and duffel bag and I moved into her house, and we been together now 15 years. We got two wonderful kids, Sir Duke and Duchess Kaiya. That's their real name is Troy Duke Smith and Kaiya Smith, but we call her the Duchess. I didn't want to just be another princess. That's just me. And then I wanted Duke to be Sir Duke, because we still like the royalty thing. And I ain't want to be, that's my little prince. I mean, but they're still in the royal court. So we growing together. We live in Hendersonville, Tennessee, outside Nashville. So that's what I'm in banking. I've been in banking for 15 years. I do mortgages for a living. Okay. If you need a mortgage, let me know. Is that the camera we're looking at?
Camera right there.
Yeah. If you need a mortgage, let me know.
Pinnacle Bank.
So I've been doing that for a while. 15 years been in the banking industry. So that's what I do. But then I also do a lot of public speaking, motivational speaking. Wrote the book, The Mindset of Successful Thinking, in 2015. And I just want to help people be better. I want them to be better than they were 5 minutes ago before they met me.
All right. Because I know one thing that, my podcast is on fatherhood. Growing up without the strong father figure, how did that shape you into the man you are now?
I always know I didn't want to be like my dad. Now, I know my dad. Me and him, we keep in touch all the time. I just know I didn't want to be like him, per se, of not being around for all my kids. But I learned this, too, though. He didn't know any better either.
Because he didn't have his father?
Because he didn't have his father either.
So I put that on.
And then guess what? Then his daddy probably didn't know his daddy either.
Yeah.
I met my granddaddy on accident.
Whoa. I ain't never heard somebody say meet somebody on accident.
I met my daddy's daddy on accident.
Okay.
So in Knoxville, it's a building called the MLB building. I don't know what it stands for, but it's like, where if you're a teenager, you can go there and work. When you turn 14, you can get a job at 14. So I used to go there. So from high school, my high school age, I used to go there all the time every summer. And I met this lady who looked at me and said, "Are you so-and-so's son?" My aunt. I had an aunt named Pearl. And I guess me and her oldest son look alike. And I said, no, but his sister that's my dad's sister. My dad's name is Pete. Mm-hmm. And so this older guy, the security guy, overheard us talking about it. Mm-hmm. And he said, young man, let me talk to you for a second. I said, yes, sir. What can I do for you or whatever? I was like 18. And he said, you said your daddy's name was Pete? I said, yeah. And you said your aunt's name was Pearl? I said, yeah. Mm-hmm. Young man, I'm your granddaddy.
Dang.
That's what he said.
Dang.
Young man, I'm your granddaddy. I said, okay, what's up, granddaddy? I mean, okay. So I met him. So when I never held a grudge against my dad. My mom would get mad at me at times, like, how you always want to be around, because every son want to be around their dad. I don't care what.
That's the truth.
Even if your daddy wasn't around.
That's the truth.
I've mentored a couple of young men that I may have been a father figure to them, but their dad still even though their dad could be lying to them, because I've been that guy, that kid sitting on the porch, waiting on my daddy to come and get me. And he never come up.
Dang, that's messed up.
I've been, and my mama say, son, he's not coming. Troy, I know, but he ain't coming. So now he coming, because my daddy had this thing, all his kids. Mm-hmm. He ended up being a project, he just whistled. Like a dog, we'd be like,
dang.
That's so anytime I hear a whistle, I automatically think of him, because he did literally, he showed me how to do it. That's even the smallest things for your daddy. You want to learn. Him whistling, putting his hand in his mouth, not washing them first, and COVID around, so we know now we get put his hand in his mouth, and we'll do it. Well, man, I want to learn how to do that. Cause my daddy know how to do it.
Why is that? What most boys want to be around their father? Because I was told one of the kids I mentored had a mom who was really bad to him, and my mom told me every son gonna always want to be around his mama. I said, even if the mama's bad, my mom told me every child wants to be around their mom or their dad, and that threw me off, because I feel like if you're a bad parent, why want to be around you? So explain to me why you feel that most sons, is it something that's God designed? Is it something the universe designed? What makes most boys want to be near their father?
I think the biological makeup of it is that, we want someone to look like us, that has the same tools we have. Yeah. And maybe this individual can show us how to be like that of guy. Okay. If you identify as a male or a female, I mean, nowadays you got to make sure if you identify these things. But as a man or as a male, I just wanted to make sure, for some reason, I wanted to be around my daddy. Yeah. But then it got to a point I was able to just get over it. Like I got brothers still to this day still hold grudges against
the dad,
against our daddy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you 42 years old. I mean, he ain't gonna change that. And then even I talked to my daddy, like, look, Troy, man, I'm too old to be trying to make somebody like me. But when you listen to the story, or listen to his story, you learn, he didn't know any better either. Not giving nobody an excuse, he really didn't know. He went to go pick up his daddy. He met his daddy, I think he said, for the first time when he was 15. Dang. He went to go pick him up in Memphis because he had to go pick him up, but he wanted to be around his daddy too. So he got to go spend some time with him in Memphis, pick him up in Memphis, and drive him back to Knoxville. He met him, for the first time when he was older.
Well, here's my thing, and like I said, your experience is totally different from mine. Yeah. I was around my dad, and here's the crazy part. I thought my dad was mean growing up. I thought my dad was mean. He worked us to death. He disciplined us when we needed to be disciplined. I didn't understand everything my father did for me until my firstborn son. My firstborn son was born. And it seemed like God brought everything back to me about fatherhood, about why my dad did certain things. And ever since MJ was born, I felt like I had to be closer to him to get everything I need to get from him. So that's why I call Dad all the time. Hey, Dad, you need any help with this? Hey, Dad. Sometimes I just want to hear his voice and know he's around and he's okay if you need anything, because I feel like because I was that bad kid from middle age to about 21.
You was acting out with your dad in the house. He acting up with his dad in the house.
No, it's not so much acting. I was a rebellious teenager. Yeah. I didn't want to cut grass because people made fun of me. And I wanted to be liked. So I would be like, Daddy, why we got to go cut grass? Why you got to go cut grass? And he would get mad. Like, I ain't got to tell you why we cutting grass. You just put your grass cutting clothes on and go cut grass. And that's what he talked. He didn't explain anything to us. You need to do it, but the old school method was you live in this house. Yeah. You're going to do exactly what I tell you to do. Right. And that's how we was brought up. But for you to be happy, smiling, where most men that I've talked to, even interviewed, still have that anger inside of him. How do you so calmly be like, hey, he just made a mistake, outside your other brothers being upset about it? How can you talk them into trying to be understanding that, hey, your dad made a mistake? How can you talk your brother? Because you have a book about the mindset. You have to be able to change your mind about that. So how can you do that?
I attribute that to Mama Lou. That's my mama. She gonna be mad I said Mama Lou, but Suzette Smith is my mother.
Make sure she get you.
Yeah. But she never talked bad about Pete though.
Okay.
Ever. So I never had a animosity against him. You know, if my mama was beating up my dad and talking bad about him, I'd be like, man, F him too. Forget him, man. He sucks and blah, blah, blah. But my mama never did that. Because my mama she was 15, so she was learning at the same time I was. So we learning together. So she just always just encouraged me to be a better person as Troy. And my brother Marcus and my brother Reggie, the three people that raised up in her house, she raised, we just always, we don't have no animosity against our pops.
That's weird, because I'm not saying it's weird. I don't know how I feel, number one.
Yeah.
So I think, number one, I applaud you for saying I don't have no animosity against my father. And because most people do. Yeah. Most people are still mad. Most people are still angry. And I applaud you for that, because now you're a father. Yeah. And your son is watching you.
You're right.
And so what are you instilling him that you didn't get from your father now?
Even though it's crazy as it is, my dad is still an affectionate person. Like, your dad? Yeah, he show love and hug, and we're all about hugging. My daughter, she all want to hug all the time, but my mama, love and hug. We always just had a house full of loving. So everybody, you know, we just always have respect and encouraging each other. So one prayer I did have, Marcus, that I wanted for my brothers, all my brothers, and myself included. I always said I want all my brothers to grow up and take care of the kids. That was my prayer.
That's true.
I said if they all can just grow up and take care of the kids, we won't be like our father. Now, don't get me wrong. My daddy actually raised 6 kids. 4 of them live with him. Okay. And another 2 to live with him. So they all know that they only have an experience with both parents in the household. You know what I'm saying? So he done raised 6 of them. Okay. They can't ever say he ever did nothing for him because he was with them, right? Yeah. But one of my prayer was, I just want to make sure all my brothers and sisters take care of their kids, and we all do.
Well, your personality is totally different from what I expected. You know, I think some people are still upset. Some people still hold a grudge. And
like I said, I got older brothers. I got an older brother that's hate him.
Wow.
You know, or then one minute I got other siblings that be like, my daddy this, my daddy that, and like, dude, you like I say, you're just too old.
Well, some people don't get over that. I had a guest last month told me something that, you know, I never heard from for a man. He says every child has an inner child. Every adult has an inner child in them. Yeah. That they want to be validated from their father. They want their father to tell them that I'm proud of you and you can make it and you can achieve. My dad was always encouraging like that. I mean, when I bought my first house, he was like, son, I'm proud of you. And that meant the world to me. Yeah. That was like a golden ticket. Right. That I got his approval. Right. Of what I've done, because everything I've done, the bad part, I ain't gonna say the bad part of me is that I want my dad to prove everything I do. Yeah. And I know at 46 he ain't. You know, he didn't prove the car I bought. He was like, you shouldn't have bought that Charger. All you gonna do is race people, you know.
It's because he know you.
Yeah, he do know me.
Yeah. He know you. Yeah.
But he said this. I said, that ain't gonna be racing a whole bunch of people. He said, son, you got my blood in you. Yeah. And your daddy used to love to race. And I know it's what you love to do. You ain't even gotta tell me. But I know you. Well, that's all he said.
Yeah, this daddy blood running. I know one thing. My daddy do blood running me for show in certain areas.
People don't believe that.
Yeah, for sure.
People don't believe it. Because my mom used to say this, and you tell me this is true. When I was dating, my mom said, always check the bloodline.
Oh, well, that's because we black. I'm sorry. Look, we black and a whole lot of things were intertwined. Yeah.
Hey, my producer is white. Yeah. All right, let's get that out the room. It's a podcast.
No.
All right, you ain't gotta be scared because Jim
I'm not gonna be scared, but I'm gonna tell you. Right. Like my wife said the same thing. Look, this is crazy. I think Robinsons was on both sides. My wife's maiden name is Robinson, so. Her mama's side and daddy's side, Robinson. My family, Smiths on both sides. So you got to check the bloodline because in Knoxville, Pages and Smiths are all over the place. And the Smith plantation was probably pretty big, so it's a lot of Smiths. So the fact is, you got to check all that because you never know who you with.
Well, my mom did tell my sister that when she went to Memphis, because the Ray family is huge in Memphis, and she said, if you date somebody in Memphis, you better check with me before you start dating. It could be your cousin.
Exactly.
So, but
family reunion, don't even know.
But my parents used to tell me that when I was dating, I was like, all right, before I find a spouse, my dad be like, check the bloodline. Check that family out. Because that family's wild, most likely she wild.
Yeah.
And that was something that I was talking at the barbershop a couple of weeks ago, and there was one out of everybody who was bashing me, it was one dude that said Marcus is right. Because my mama told me the same thing.
Okay.
And I just think that as fathers, you know, I'm trying to do the best I can to put in my boys wisdom and knowledge. I'm gotta get ready, like me and you. How do we prepare our kids for dating? You know, because I'm trying to protect MJ and Jordan. And if I see a woman who I don't feel like they should date, is it my job as a father to tell them don't date that person? What would you do?
Well, that's gonna be. There's no manual to raising kids, as you already know.
Okay.
It don't matter if you done had people that you done raised. Oh, you was raised them a certain way. Your kids may not be nothing like that. And generational times are totally different too. So, I just hope that I instilled enough in them. My wife and myself instilled enough in them to know how to have some discernment.
I hear that word all the time.
Yeah, to have some discernment of knowing, like, I can't take her home to mom and daddy
because my mom.
Because they know I'm going to say something. I'm the worst. I'm the wrong person to put on speaker phone. I'm the wrong person. I'm going to say more than likely what I'm going to say.
So if a girl come in, you don't like that girl dating your son, you going to say something?
I probably won't say I don't like that girl. I'm like, man, say she come in inappropriately dressed, like, man, where you think you going, the club or something? I mean, it don't tell them what it come out my mouth at the time. But
should we as parents do that, or we let our kids just kind of? I mean, I'd say after 18, you got to, because they grown.
You ain't got to do nothing. When they grown, you ain't got to do a thing.
They grown.
Yeah, you can know if I don't like somebody. I can say, man, I ain't feeling. I mean, my kids gonna know. And they gonna know me enough to know that I'm not gonna, like, your daddy enough to know you ain't gonna do certain things.
Well, I knew that, but my mom was more hard on me with females than my dad.
Because that's your mama. Like, my mama the same way. She always know.
Well,
mamas know, bro. Mamas know about that. My wife, when it comes to Duke, she just, especially with women and their sons. It's a protection thing there where their son's gonna want to do that. Period.
Well, I think the problem with me was like, I want somebody similar to my mom, because I feel like I can get along with you if you was similar to my mom.
You can't make love to your mama, though. So I mean, when it come down to it, you're not gonna do that. I mean, you can have somebody have nice haircut, short haircut. I don't want nobody like Sue, but I mean, because me and Sue are alike.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I want somebody. My wife ain't nothing like my mama.
I just feel like I wouldn't have a lot of problems. That's what I thought.
Yeah, you have a lot of arguments. You have a lot of arguments with your mama.
Well, I just think, from the beginning of your story, you really intrigued me on how your mindset was, because I definitely got off into your book, because I'm an undergrad in psychology, so I'm always studying the mind. Is what we supposed to do as dads of protecting our family. We got to prepare for dating. We got to prepare for when they leave. But let me ask you this question: with everything going on in this society, what are you doing now to prepare your kids? You see police pulling kids over. You see things going on in the school that your kids going to see. Yeah. Foul language. We got things on this phone. Yeah. They're going to see.
Oh yeah.
So what are you going to do as a dad? Because I know you have your wife, but I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, we supposed to be the protector. Yeah. Am I right or wrong?
That's absolutely right.
All right.
If something happened right now and I run out and my wife and family in danger, you'll never hear the end of that ever in your life. Never.
Because I'm trying to figure out, what are you supposed to do as a dad to protect your family from all the things I just brought up? What do you do now?
It depends on it depends on which state you're looking at. So the first step is what you bringing in the house. If you bringing stuff into the house, then they're going to start seeing it must be okay. If I start bringing drugs into the household, it's just going to start creating an atmosphere where it's okay to happen. But if it's never there, they're not going to be really in tune to that. Yeah, like drinking was never really a thing in our house, right? Yeah. And my mom's, when we was raised up, so I never thought about it ever. Yeah.
Well, I think like with social media being what it is, with your kids, because we don't know as dads what our kids are seeing at school, right? But all I know is that if they come home with something that's not abnormal, if they say something that's abnormal, I have to address that.
Right.
Or my wife had to. Somebody got to address that. But I feel like as a man, if it's a boy, I need to address that.
Yeah.
When you have a daughter. See, I've never had a daughter.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like we got to address those things now as a dad, and I had to tell them.
Yeah.
Now, I am stern.
I know you are.
Because you heard the last podcast.
No, I know you, period. So they just fact about what you did
and
last
you
podcast.
came with the first conversation. You came in hard. What you want? What you need from me? Yeah. I'm like, golly, I just want to know. Everybody told me to talk to you.
Yeah.
So people say I'm stern, and you're the total opposite when we talk, which I love a lot about you. But I just want to be sure people who's listening know what we're supposed to do as a dad who may be struggling with their kids on. Because I've had dads come to me and what should I tell my kid? They watching porn on their phones and they doing this and that. What should I tell them? And my mind goes right back to daddy. But it may not be the thing that needed in 2023. Is take their phone away, put it up.
Yeah, and then they just go look at it on somebody else's phone. And then they just go find another way. Do you know what's interesting that when you try to hide something from somebody, like the Bible says, what's done in secret is much sweeter, right? If it's done, a pie stolen is much sweeter when you go get you ever seen the movie Life? Yeah. You know when he ran up to the window and tried to get that pie? Yeah. And he ran away eating it? It's just something about, just like when you growing up and you sinning, as people say, you having sex before marriage, it seemed like it was so fun and so risky and then you find out it's dangerous, right? Yeah. And then you get married, and it could have been done better in the second, in the matrimony of marriage is probably better. Yeah. But if you try to hide something from somebody, it just seems for some reason, if you say don't touch the stove, it's hot. All of a sudden now in your mind you're thinking, I want to touch the stove. See, I'm hard headed like that.
I was too.
I'm hard headed. Like you tell me not to do it, I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's me too.
Adam and Eve, he said, stay away from the tree. Yeah. Why? Because you'll be, all other stuff could happen. But then they seen somebody come on the outside and say, hey, you'll be just like him though, really. He just don't want you to be all knowing like he is. Yeah. Well, let me just try to see what happened. And just like when you do something that's not done right, the scales fall from your eye. Now you feel like I done messed up.
Well, I think now I'm raising a teenager, and I know I'm like, when do I jack him up?
He's a good boy though. He a good dude.
Yeah, I just know when he talk back, when do I jack him up?
That's normal.
When I grab him, like on one of them baby boy movies, you pick that joke up and look at him. Like,
well, because sometimes you got to scare them.
All right, so when I say do that, I'm wrong.
Because sometimes they got to see that.
Because fear growing up in the house was, I think, daddy, like I told you, pre-recording, dad didn't talk a lot. All he did was either look at you, he'd give you 1 or 2 words. Yeah. And that was it. And then you had to make a life choice decision. Yeah. If you're going to do it. When he said no earrings in your ear, and I was the one that wanted to be hard-headed. And he said, you come home with that earring, you won't come, I'm going to pull it out. So I had to make a decision on not to do it. Because I never did it. But now if my son says, Daddy, I want an earring, what do I supposed to tell him? Am I supposed to go back to the old school way of what my dad tell him? Or do I say, hey, it's 2023 now? That's what the last podcast, everybody saying, Mark, you got to pivot. You got to change. You can't be like your dad. You tell me with the mindset I have, what do I supposed to do?
It's all about the why. Do you know why your daddy told you not to have the earring in your ear?
He said a man don't need one.
And this can go deeper than that. But
he never went deeper than that.
But in that time, and you ask your daddy, correct me wrong, he don't talk much anyway. No. But the fact is, if you had an earring back then, you could be looked at as different in regards to sexuality different. Okay. So to be like, do you want to deal with that as a kid? You like, no, not really, but you didn't know no better. Okay. It's just like braids, having cornrows back in the day. If you got cornrows in your head, you automatically consider to be a thug. Yeah. So they say, don't do it because so you can have your, you don't have that stigma against you. We don't know that till we get older. Yeah. And it's all about the why. So like I tell my kids, before they got a spanking, do you know why you're getting a spanking? And we'll talk through it first. This is why. So you know the punishment, why you doing that. Not just I'm going to just start wearing them out and then they don't know why they did that. What happened?
Well, see, that's my problem.
Yeah. I don't have time. You just go straight off the handle.
I don't have time to
DDT them. Just go off.
Toya has to say, especially my oldest son, due to this condition, you can't yell, you can't raise your voice because it triggers him. And it's my fault. I used to say you need to get him fixed because I'm gonna come at him. Because growing up, if I told my dad why a fist is coming, And now my dad was an abusive father, but he put the fear in you to know, don't test him, don't mess with him. And even now at his age, I still respect him of that. But that's just me as a dad trying to be sure my sons respect me as their father. And I think you're going to do what you want to do in this house. Yeah. Because if you do, we got a problem. That's the thing where my understanding of fatherhood comes, where I want to be sure my sons, they fear me, but it's not like a fear like they're going to die. Yeah. I want them to know when I say it's time to get up, I ain't playing. Yeah. You know, but the way my dad did it, I don't do it with them. Yeah. Like my dad just flicked on the light.
That's what I do.
You don't even tell them to get up, you just flick on the light.
I say, get up. Time to go to bed and trying to get up. And and the next level, I take the cover off. And then the next level, I'm pulling them out the bed. I mean, it's like it's a progression.
See, we didn't have it, man.
I know, but I think to answer the question, like, how can you? I think if you tell people the why, then that's when the stuff come behind to say, okay, this is why this is happening.
Yeah, I just feel like
and that, besides saying I'm the daddy.
Yeah, that's all I say now.
I'm the daddy. You don't listen to what I say, because that person get no respect. I'm just been over time, because they're gonna try to test you to say, was you the daddy? Well, I'm the daddy. Now, have you seen what's the movie? I look at the white guy because I'm thinking about the white guy. What's the movie with Tom Hanks in it? He's the captain. I'm the captain now.
Yeah, you talking about
Captain
Phillips. Captain Phillips. Yeah.
So like, look, you can walk in and say, I'm the boss. I'm the boss. To somebody come and challenge you and say, well, I'm the boss now. Just like the slave. You know, they all tough until you get another dude that's bigger than you to come in, Mandingo fight you, and now he take over. It's just like the lions. It's a whole thing about animals. Hierarchy.
I was bigger than my dad. Bigger than my dad now, but I still at that age I never did that. I think he caved me in the chest one time and knocked the wind out of me, and I knew then I never would challenge him again.
But I bet he was scared though.
No, he wasn't scared.
No. I'm telling you, Marcus. I'm telling you, everybody.
I wish he was here on the mic.
He might say, yeah, right. I bet. But the fact is, like my mama, when she used to give us a beat down back in the day. Well, and when we got bigger than my mom's only 5'1" or something like that. And when we got because my mom respected her. Okay. So like, you know, one time all it takes is that one, when you're a teenage boy and you start balling that fist up. I wish you would. You better hit. She said, you hit me. I bet I knock it. She probably didn't know what was going on, but she told me later. She was scared. I'm 6 feet. And I'm up her, you know, she trying to whoop me and at 14, 15 years old. And that's when we stopped getting whooped at that point. But she seen it was too big. I was too big. But we just challenged. It was like a standoff. And as a parent, you got to still show you tough. But then again, I bet if you know, they have some fear too to be like, man, this kid is bigger than me.
I'm trying to calm down because I'm just imagining MJ trying to stand off against me.
I bet. I know
he won't win.
I know he won't until he's 6'9", 6'9", cock diesel, and just showing that he got a 8-pack and take his shirt off and like, let's do it. And then
I'll fight him.
I know.
Here's the thing. I may get a whoop. Yeah. But he gonna know that he's been in a fight with his dad.
Bet, but guess what he can always say?
What's that?
I beat up my daddy. There's nothing.
The day he ever say that is the day I'm.
It's never cool. It's never cool. I remember one time my dad and I wrestled. I was like 18. We was wrestling, but I think he's kind of drunk though, so it don't really count.
Okay.
But we was wrestling. And I slammed him, and I felt bad about it because it's my daddy. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing prideful about beating up your parent, to me. Yeah. There's nothing powerful about overpowering your parent. There's just nothing cool about it. It's a respect there for that. So I had a brother that actually fought my daddy one time and knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? Dang. But my daddy's older. Yeah. It's like what pride? Now he get this, but nobody respects the brother though.
Because he knocked his daddy out?
Yeah, it's like, that's your daddy though, man. He's like, man, I don't care, man. That's your daddy.
It's build up anger. I don't know.
It is build up anger.
I'm preparing for, my mind's preparing for my boys when they decide they want to step up and challenge me.
They probably won't. You know why?
Why is that?
Because you their daddy. And they respect you. Your kids, they respect you.
I never challenged my father, man.
Yeah, I know.
I never did. I think just the fear and the respect I had for him, I never challenged him. I talked back and got knocked out. But I need to be knocked out because I was disrespectful. But I think just us as fathers that's raising the kids, I think it's just a point where what I'm gonna do the day he decides he want to talk back. Now my dad, he did this, and I'm gonna go into your book.
No, I'm fine.
The day I talked back one day, and he said 2 grown people can't live in the same house.
Yep, that's the lions right there.
And he opened that front door, and it was cold outside. He shut the door. And I was outside making a life choice decision. And I came back. I said, I ain't no man. He said, that's what I thought.
Exactly.
And that was it. He didn't put his hands on me.
Not at all.
He just said, 2 grown people can't live. You got to go.
Right.
He put me out the house right then. And I knew then that I couldn't talk back to my father anymore. But I think now, raising a 14-year-old that, you know, one day I said, go to bed. He said something. And I looked at Toy. I said, you better get him fixed. Because I said, I'm going to grab him. And I'm going to put him on the ground. But, you know, children with special conditions and special needs, man, you know, I think it's a way I have to, you know, you have to have a sensitive heart to that.
Yeah.
But I still think I need to teach him. And so a lot of times when I'm taking him to school, I try to use those as teaching moments to say, by not talking back, how to defend yourself, how to do this. So I think those dad moments, I hope my son appreciates. But I'm still learning with you talking to Jason from the last podcast. I don't appreciate y'all giving me these therapy sessions. I don't appreciate that today. So let's go into your book, man. You wrote a great book, and I didn't finish every bit of it, but I did do a lot of reading from the beginning because some of your titles caught my attention. What made you write? Because what's your degree? Is it psychology?
No, speech communication, then my master's in education.
Okay, because I would think you had a degree in psychology when I was reading.
I actually wanted to go into psychology in the beginning, but I found out some minds I don't want to be in.
No, you don't want to do it, man. I did it because you don't rest. Your mind's always wondering about people. But the great title, The Mindset of Successful Thinking, and then you deserve the most out of life, which I totally agree. Get everything you can get out of life, grab it by the horns, and take it, because you never know when your life's going to end. What made you decide to write this book?
Because growing up in the projects no longer exist, I don't think. You know, those big bricks buildings and stuff like that. I know they done tore them down to make colorful houses. But growing up in that setting, I knew I had to think differently than everybody else. Yeah. Because, like, for example, you know how they got the gates around. At one time, they start putting the projects or gates around them. Yeah. You know, you barely got grass in the project, stuff like, you know. So coming up in that upbringing, I couldn't think if I wanted to, first of all, like I said, my mother didn't let me think like that. She always thought on a more positive thought process. Go to school, get your education. Because she dropped out in the 9th grade. So she always about going to school, go to school. Not knowing why, I just know she told me I had to go to school. But I just knew I had to think differently, man. And over time, I started thinking about how it's all about how you look at life. Yeah. If you look at life, I mean, you can have all the money in the world and still be depressed. Yeah, I agree with that. And that ain't the fact that I got it. I just seen people tell me about it. That's actually got all the money in the world. And they're like, I'm still depressed. So, or they jump off a building.
I'd be like, why you do that? Give me the money before you jumped in. Right.
All that stuff. So it's a whole lot of, but I started thinking like, man, I got to think differently. So for example, something as small as the gated community. When I started thinking about it, I pay to try to be in a gated community. I paid to cut my grass. Like my grass cutter was at the house before we left. But when I grew up, I've always had a gated community. When you think about it, I was in the projects. It had gates around it. It's always gated. It's all about how you see it. I can look at it as like, oh, they want me to get out. They're trying to hold us back. Or I'm keeping other stuff, other riffraff out of it. I agree with that. The grass was I never had to cut my own grass. They had somebody come out there and cut. The city did it. But the fact is, I've had those things that I pay for now, just on how you look at it. Well, I throw 3 things. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. I like it. I like your mindset that you wanted to get out the gate, but you understand you want to keep other people out. Yeah, other riffraff and bad things. Because they put the gate there probably to keep us in from running. So, you know, at one time, if people run, the police chase after somebody, they can just go through the project. Now they got gates there. It's only one way out, one way in. Because I said, growing up, I felt like that. My parents kind of kept us in that gate to keep us from bad things happening. So when fatherhood was introduced to me at 27, I didn't know a whole bunch of kids didn't have daddies. Because when mama asked me to be my cousin's big brother, first question I asked her, where's his daddy? And she was like, he don't have no daddy. And I just looked at her. I said, darn, I feel bad. All right, let me try to help him. And that started me to everything you see now. So first in your book, chapter 4 was very good. And I really honed on that. And it says, allow yourself to make mistakes. And for his dads, for people in entrepreneurship, why is it so important for, I just say entrepreneurship because I think we hit daddy enough. Why is it so important for just entrepreneurs to make mistakes? Because that's how you learn. Yeah, you learn through your mistakes. It's just like you was talking about earlier when I walked in on the other pod, and you was like, I got to do it now. And the guy told you got to live in the moment. See, I was a person just like you, Mark, because I'm still like that in a sense. My wife and my mother had to remind me to say, Troy, look how old you are and how far you done come. I've always thought I was behind the 8 ball every time.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do that today. I need to do that today. Oh, I messed up, man. Dang, I messed up. And I've learned throughout times, dude, at the time, look, you actually are further ahead than you think you are.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until you actually step back and look outside yourself and say, dang, I have made it somewhere. But I don't ever want to think I arrived because
All right, now I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. That's what I was trying to say in the last podcast. I never want to feel like I've arrived. I've had people, I was at Costco one time, this guy said, man, I saw you on TV. I was like, all right, thank you. And I kept walking. I didn't think about it and say, well, let's take a photo. This guy saw me on TV. I care less. I'm thankful for the opportunity of Channel 4, somebody call you on TV, but I never get caught up in it.
That's good. That's how you and I are gonna go further.
I just don't feel like I should go. I think it was all right. I was on TV. Now I save it on my name because sometimes my boys will see it and they'll say, "Daddy was on TV." But that's just a moment. It's cool, and I'm moving on. But one thing you put in your book on the mindset, it says, regardless if you're a spiritual believer or not, there are universal laws that exist that if you don't have faith to believe that you can be successful in whatever you do, you will not attempt to do one thing that will allow you to be successful, and that is try. And I totally agree with that. I think everything I've attempted to do, I tried. Just like doing a podcast. Once I did gyms, I was like, I can do that. And Jim was like, all right, go get some equipment. Let's get it set up and get out what you see now. I just thought I could do it. You know, now I'm attempting to want to go to Vanderbilt University and do a play. People say, why you choose Vanderbilt? I don't know. I just said I want to go to Vanderbilt and do a play called Strong with My Father.
There you go.
And I'm going to get it done.
Nice.
Now, if Vanderbilt don't take it on, somebody's going to do it. Now, my mindset, since we talking about mindset, is that I don't tell everybody what I'm trying to do. Because if your mindset ain't where I'm at, then you're going to try to either talk me out of it or you're going to tell me it can't be done. And then that's going to trigger me to do it, just to throw it in your face and tell you don't ever tell me.
Them triggers.
But is that right with the mindset? Let me ask you that. For me personally, let me ask that question. So when someone triggers me, and my barber told me, you say all you doing is hurting yourself. When somebody tell me I can't do something, it's a trigger. And it'll motivate me even harder to prove you wrong. Am I right or wrong?
That's the hard-headed in me too, so... Sorry,
so we both agree to that?
My wife can probably tell you that too. I'm hard-headed when it comes to, you can't do it. I'm like, oh, really?
Oh, interesting. Okay, great. Yeah. I might have got somebody to agree with me today. Because most people, my barber was like, you need therapy. You got problems. And I'm like, it's a mindset for me that somebody tell me I couldn't do something. When someone said I couldn't go back to college and get my degrees, it just pushed me even farther to tell me that you can't tell me I can't do something. Somebody told me, hey, man, you can't do no after school program. You crazy. It ain't going to last long. And we 7 years in. It's just the mindset of keep trying to achieve things. I don't think it'll ever stop. So that part I really liked. Here's the next one in your book.
Before you move on, y'all familiar with the term data. Data is important. Yeah. You got to have data. But this is what I want everybody to hear me say is that just because it's a fact doesn't make it your fate. So just because it's a fact, it doesn't make it your fate. I say that because I've grown up in the environment where they tell you that data says boom, 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 boom. The data says you're in a single parent household, born to a teenage mother, blah, blah, you're going to be on drugs, incarcerated, XYZ. And I defy those odds of that. You know, the data says if you this, and that, you're going to have this, and that happen to you due to your health. If we go by that, we automatically going to think it's over with. Well, they said it. The data says it, so I guess it's done. I can't do that. I'm African American from a single parent household, born to a teenage mother. Multiple people in the household. My mother didn't have nothing but a ninth grade education. It's over with. So and that's why people act out. That's why they become criminals. That's why they do become a statistic because of what the data states. And they say because it's a fact. Well, just because it's a fact doesn't mean it has to be your fate.
That's true. That's a strong quote right there. I'm about to write that down.
Take it. I took it from somebody else. So, ain't nothing original.
Well, I wanted people to pick up the book because your mindset tells you everything you're going to do. Yeah. If your mind tells you that you're going to fail, you're going to fail. Yeah. And I think I want to get to number 11 because I don't know how much time I have left. Let me do number 11. I highlight that because people tell me I think too much. Yeah. So why did you write the title? Before I go into my notes, why did you write the title in Strategic Plan of Life, Stop Thinking Too Much?
So I got a podcast called The Noti Lounge, which means it's NOTI, which stands for not overthinking it. You just said the key thing. You don't tell people your goals, which I think you should share your ideas at times, because you might run into someone that can say, like the gentleman here, I can help you with that. Like the guy Jason said, the whiskey guy, he told someone what his plans were. He showed them what they're going to do, what he's going to be doing. They said, the guy in Iowa said, I can help you with that. If we always keep our stuff to us, cause my mama like that though. She like, don't tell everybody because they're gonna try to steal something, because that's what we grew up in. Don't tell everybody. Don't tell your boss all you know, because then they're gonna fire you and gotta take that. If that's how you think, you're gonna always be in the same spot. You follow what I'm saying?
I struggle with that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
That's
I
fine.
struggle with telling my dreams and goals to a lot of people.
But you can't tell them. I ain't say tell them to everybody.
Yeah,
certain folks you're gonna be talking to, as you're talking, it's gonna open up doors for you.
Because sometimes I do. Sometimes I get a good idea and I'm like, man, let me tell somebody. And then I'll be like, man, they may say something that's going to trigger me. So best for me not to be triggered. Yeah, it's a trigger, man.
Therapy, huh? Sound like some therapy didn't even come into play. But you said something before you said that what made me put down not overthinking, because we can easily, not no one else around us, we can easily talk ourselves out of it. If we have enough time to think about it. So that's why I'm always, sometimes it's a good thing and a bad thing. I'm going to go, let's do it today. You say, hey, Troy, man, I was thinking about this idea of doing a podcast. Okay, let's do one right now. No, not right now. I'm talking about like, no, because if you think about it and I call you 2 weeks from now, we ain't done nothing yet. So that's why I don't overthink. I'm always a go. If you say, I'm going to call you tomorrow, I don't say I'm going to call you tomorrow. I'm going to call you tonight at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
If, like, for example, when you said, man, I need to get some sleep, man, I'm gonna go get some sleep. Okay, yeah. What I'm gonna do, Mark, I'm gonna call you, and if you don't answer, I'm gonna call your wife. Yeah. To make sure. And what happened that day?
I wouldn't sleep.
And then I called, but did I not call like I said I was gonna do? Called her. Because I'd rather do it now. Because rather, if we wait, because what if you die? That's how I think. Yeah. What if it's over with the next day? I ain't gonna get to call you tomorrow, so I call you right then. That's just how, and that's a little thing I got to deal with.
Well, I think for people who want to do things in their life, ideas that come in their head. Denzel Washington said that when an idea pop in your head, that's God's proof that you should do it.
Well, you got to be careful doing everything, but yeah, you can try.
I think it's just like, I want to do what you did, write a book. Yeah. All right. I've never written a book, but I don't tell everybody I'm going to write a book. I'm just going to do it. And I think my mother pushed me to that mindset is because I used to tell her all the time, I go back and get my degree. I'm getting my degree. And one day she just said, quit talking about it and just do it.
Don't tell the whole story, Mark.
And it triggered me, man.
Tell the whole thing.
I can tell you the whole story about it.
Because you said somebody's seen somebody else do something.
No, the whole story about that.
The college thing?
No, the college thing. I don't know how you remember that.
Crap. I remember a lot of stuff.
I see that. Yeah. I think the thing is that I was a kid when I seen my brothers, my younger brother and my sister go to college, and they had their picture on the wall. Mm-hmm. And it was always the subject of conversation around family. And I felt I was left out. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a part of that conversation. So I opened my mouth, and I didn't get the things that they said. I thought what they were going to say was something to pat me on the back versus something that triggered me. Mm-hmm. So when I walked in my parents' house, and they had a picture of Brian and Marsha shaking the dean's hand at college, I said, Mom, I'm going to get my degree so I can get my picture there. And I probably said it way too much. And she just said, quit talking about it and just do it. And it upset me. That put a fire under me to say, I'm going to prove you wrong. And the bad part about it was, I used to, every time I graduated from college, I would throw it in my mother's face. Because I felt like you didn't validate me. And I was mad at you. And I was wrong. And me and my mom, when I got my master's, she finally got tired of me saying that. And she went off. Not knowing my mother was going through at work, losing her hair. She was so stressed out at work that she didn't have time. I'm grown. I didn't need her to come pat me on. I'm not a baby no more. I'm not a baby. So now I have that mindset where if you I don't just tell certain things, I just do it. And then when you see it done, I didn't tell a lot of people I was doing a podcast. I just did it. And then it's done. So I try to do that mindset. But I think for other dreams and ideas I have in my head, I feel like for me personally, I got to keep it private. I just got to just do it. So then when it's done, I can say, yeah, I thought about that a while ago. But I'm not going to, like you said in your book, people can talk you out of that. And I don't want nobody talking me out of anything that I'm trying to achieve. And I think the last thing is, since you give me a therapy session, which I don't appreciate, is I'm really focused on where I'm trying to take this organization at. Yeah. It's in my head. And I feel like anybody that's trying to stop me, I got to move them out the way.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel I feel like that right now. I feel like if you're holding me back and you're not where I'm at mentally, I don't need you around me. Am I right or wrong for having that mindset?
Everybody need to have that Kanye complex at times. You know what I'm saying? They have the Kanye
now I'm
complex.
Kanye, man. Don't tell me I'm Kanye,
but
man.
most important, though, is that like a board, if you don't tell the board your strategic plan, they can't help you get there. You know? And then if you don't have anyone that you can actually, the people around you that's on you, it's funny that we have people around us the whole time and we end up kicking them out the way because they're not saying what we want to hear. When they the ones that actually giving you the best advice that you can actually take, you know? Yeah. So, and I'm not the one as well to tell a lot of stuff to and not be doing nothing about it. I'm the last one you want to do that with because I'm going to be it's just, I'm not going to want to hear it either. Yeah. Like your mom, but see, it's the why behind it. She probably thought, this is why I'm doing. No one ever asks why. They just always just go off. Yeah. They get triggered.
Well, I got triggered, man.
And they'll never ask the why. And then they say, well, this is why, because you talk about it so much when I know you're capable of doing it. And even if I told you, you wouldn't be able to accept it.
I wish you would have said that.
Yeah, but then you would have just kept pushing it back. You would have said, it's coming. I'm coming. I'm going to do it. Okay, baby. Well, I'm going to tell you why you should do it. The next thing you know, you end up not doing it for another year.
My mom was never the one that patted us on the back all the time. She pushed us. And my dad, I asked my dad this to wrap this up. My dad said, your mom, she said that out of love, but she knew you, she said, you was right. She said she knew you was capable of going back to school. She knew you could do it, but she had to push you to do it. Yeah. And her push wasn't love. Her push triggered me and it made me upset. But anytime I do something, my mom was always there. So when I heard her on camera when I was graduating Tennessee State, where Marc at? He better be walking across that stage. You know, she was still proud of me. But I think as a son, I wanted my mom to pat me on the back.
So everybody got that kid in them still, huh? Like you said at the beginning. Everybody got that kid
in them. Hey, Jim, let's wrap this up, man. I'm going to throw him out this darn window, man.
No, but everybody still got that kid in them. But what's the beautiful thing about all this is everybody plays a part in life. Whether it's your mother. I done been a person people don't like. I done been a person that people loved, right? Okay. But each person had a purpose to play for that moment of the play. Okay. You know, if I didn't tell you that you weren't going to do it, you would have never done it. If I didn't tell you I love you, then you wouldn't think you'd be loved. It's just those things. It has a moment. Everybody has a moment.
Well, I think out of all of it, you told me about the why, and I realized why my mom didn't tell me certain things. Why? Now I have to think about that. Why she didn't tell me certain things. But I think I'll tell you this. Last story we're done is that my mom felt bad because I finished school, had my picture up here, and then one day I come to my mom's house because every day I walked in my parents' house, I looked at that picture, and one day she had my older brother up there, and I said she had all those in an 8x10, and my brother had a 5x7 between my brothers, my brother and my sister. And I looked at my mom and said, "Why is Junior there?"
And she said, "Why he up there?"
She said, "I said he didn't finish college." Well, I didn't want him to feel bad that y'all went to school and he didn't, and I lost my ever-loving mind.
What'd you say?
I said, you pushed me and you did this and that. And you know what my mom did? She took everybody's picture off and just have a picture up in there. She said, I'm sick of Marc.
All about the love, man.
Hey, y'all, please buy this book, man. The Mindset of Successful Thinking. I mean, we could do more, but our time is up. And you do deserve the most out of life. Push yourself to do everything you can do before you leave this earth, because you only have one time around. And like this wrestler said, take life by the horns and choke that joke and get everything you can get out of it. And I believe that. And Troy, thank you so much for your friendship. Thanks for pushing me and trying to keep me on the right track.
No, same. Thank you for doing the same for me.
Hey, where can they buy your book at?
TroyMSmith.com. Just go to TroyMSmith.com and you'll find it. TroyMSmith.com.
Y'all get this book, man. It'll bless your life. And thank you so much for listening to another episode of Strong in My Father podcast. If you like what you hear, especially on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button so you can listen to this episode and the other episodes, previous episodes that we have. And you can listen to all the Strong in My Father podcasts on most social media platforms at strongerthanmyfather.org/podcast. Please like, subscribe, share it. Help us continue to spread the word on fatherhood. From everybody who helped, the production team, everybody who helped, thank you for making this work today. I look forward to shooting another episode of Strong in My Father podcast next time. So thank you so much. God bless you. Stay safe.